Imagine spending 10 years remembering 300 brothers who died buying you time, and now you finally get to collect payment in Persian blood. August 479 B.C. 40,000 Greek hoplites faced 100,000 Persian warriors on the plains of Platea with 12-foot bronze spears that outreached Persian weapons by exactly the distance between life and death. By sunset, the mightiest empire on earth would suffer 90,000 casualties in 6 hours of mechanized slaughter that historians still call impossible. This is the story of how grief fermented into vengeance, how the ghosts of Thermopylae guided Greek spears through Persian flesh, and how a single spear thrust through Mardonius' skull triggered the greatest massacre in ancient warfare. Think about those numbers for one brutal moment: 40,000 Greeks who remembered every burned temple, every enslaved citizen, every insult from Persia's invasion, facing an empire that thought numbers meant victory. But here's what Persian scouts missed that morning. Greek chaos was calculated, their retreat was repositioning, and their legendary discipline hadn't crumbled. It had compressed into concentrated murder, waiting for the perfect moment to explode. Why did Mardonius abandon his impregnable position to attack what made Pausanias risk everything on a night march that nearly shattered Greek unity? How did supposedly disorganized forces transform into a bronze killing machine that harvested Persian lives like wheat? The answers lie in the most complete battlefield annihilation in ancient history, where superior equipment met superior training, where unity defeated numbers, and where the impossible became inevitable because free men fighting for home are worth 10 slaves fighting for empire. 480 B.C. Leonidas and his 300 lay dead at Thermopylae's gates, their bodies mutilated by Persian victors. Their sacrifice bought time measured in days, but the cost was measured in Spartan souls that would never rest until vengeance was paid. Now, Xerxes' war machine rolled south, unstoppable, crushing everything. Athens burned while citizens watched from islands, their city reduced to smoke and rubble and ash that tasted bitter. The Acropolis, symbol of Greek achievement for generations, became a Persian bonfire. This is where Pausanias proves he doesn't just carry Leonidas' bloodline, he carries his burden like a physical weight. As regent for Leonidas' young son, every Spartan looks to him for vengeance that will satisfy the dead. But vengeance requires allies, and Greeks famously hate each other almost as much as they hate Persians. Ancient feuds run deeper than blood. Enter the miracle that shouldn't exist: Pausanias commanding 10,000 Spartans, seeking revenge; Aristides, the just, leading 8,000 Athenians, burning for retribution; and 40,000 total, from 24 city-states Corinthians, Megarians, Plateans, ancient enemies, who'd killed each other's grandfathers. Think about what this means for one impossible moment. These cities have warred for centuries over borders, trade routes, insults to honor. Their gods demand different sacrifices. Their dialects mark them as enemies. Yet here they stand with shields locked in unified phalanx formation, because the alternative to unity is slavery under Persian masters. This isn't just military alliance built on shared interest. This is a miracle forged from shared rage and the understanding that if they don't hang together, Persia will hang them separately. For perhaps the only time in Greek history, ancient hatreds became irrelevant compared to survival. But here's what makes Platea different from every battle in ancient warfare. The Greeks bring more than unity and rage. They bring the finest heavy infantry in the ancient world, wielding technology that creates mathematical slaughter. Each hoplite carries 50 pounds of bronze armor that can turn arrows and deflect sword strikes. Their shields overlap in the fearsome phalanx formation that becomes a mobile bronze wall. Most importantly, their 12-foot spears outreach anything in the Persian arsenal by 6 feet, exactly the distance that determines who lives and who dies in close combat. Man for man, they're worth 5 Persian soldiers in close quarters brutality. But Mardonius commands 100,000 warriors, speaking 50 languages, armed with the wealth of 3 continents, and absolutely confident that numbers guarantee victory. The Persian force includes 10,000 immortals in scale armor, whose ranks never diminish, 20,000 cavalry armed with composite bows, 70,000 infantry from subject nations. These aren't conscripts or militia, these are professional soldiers who've conquered from India to the Aegean Sea, who've burned Athens and killed Greeks by the thousands. The stage is set 9 miles south of Thebes, where the Asopus River cuts through dusty plains toward Mount Cithaeron. Here, geography becomes destiny in ways neither commander fully understands yet. The Greeks desperately need water but can't reach the river without exposing themselves. Mardonius holds the plains where his cavalry dominates and can harass Greek formations. Neither side can attack without severe disadvantage. For 11 days, they watch each other across the river, probing weaknesses, testing defenses, waiting for the other to make the fatal error. But the Greeks have one advantage Mardonius never considered in his calculations. They're fighting for home soil, where every man can see smoke still rising from burned cities, where every Spartan remembers Thermopylae with crystalline clarity, where every Athenian tastes ash when wind blows south. Then came intelligence that changed everything. A secret message from a Theban noble named Alexander, who attended Mardonius's war councils and sympathized with Greeks. What he reports transforms Greek disadvantage into Persian death sentence, but Pausanias can't act immediately. First, he must position forces exactly where Mardonius expects them, making the Persian comfortable, overconfident, ready to make mistakes. Dawn breaks over Platea, revealing Mardonius's greatest weapon, sheer overwhelming numbers that carpet the plains like locusts. 100,000 men versus 40,000. But numbers tell only part of the story written in blood. The Greek force centers on 10,000 Spartans, not the 300 of Thermopylae, but an army that remembers those 300 with every breath, every heartbeat, every moment. Leading them are veteran warriors who trained alongside Leonidas, who watched him march to certain death, who've waited 10 years for this exact moment of retribution. Each hoplite trains from age 7 in Sparta's brutal agog system. Their bronze breastplates can turn arrows at close range. Their helmets limit vision but maximize protection from strikes. That famous round shield, the hoplon, doesn't just protect its bearer in selfish defense. In phalanx formation, each man's shield guards the soldier to his left, creating interlocking bronze wall. Individual glory means nothing in this system. Formation integrity is everything. Break formation, and you die. Hold formation, and you're invincible. But Persians bring their own advantages that shouldn't be dismissed. Mardonius commands the empire's elite, including 10,000 immortals whose numbers never diminish because replacements are instant 20,000 cavalry, who are the finest horsemen on earth, 70,000 infantry from across. The empire with specialized skills honed over generations of conquest. Each Persian unit brings unique capabilities: Median cavalry, Indian archers, Egyptian spearmen, Thracian swordsmen. This is combined arms warfare at its ancient peak. Here's the detail historians still debate. Why did both armies choose Platea for this decisive confrontation? For Mardonius, the logic is obvious. Broad plains favor his cavalry superiority and allow numerical advantage to matter. But Pausanias deliberately marches to ground that disadvantages Greek hoplites who prefer broken terrain, unless he knows something Mardonius doesn't about Persian intentions and weaknesses. For 11 days, the armies probe each other like boxers testing defenses. Persian cavalry raids Greek positions each morning with arrows darkening the sky like locust clouds. Greeks huddle under shields, unable to effectively retaliate against mobile horse archers. Then Persian riders discover the Greek water supply, a spring behind their defensive lines, providing fresh water to 40,000 men. They foul it systematically with dead horses and human waste. Now 40,000 Greeks face death by dehydration under merciless August sun, in full bronze armor that turns men into ovens. This tactical detail demonstrates Persian sophistication. Mardonius pioneered strategic dehydration, forcing enemies to move or die from thirst. But Pausanias had been waiting for exactly this provocation. He needs an excuse to reposition forces without arousing Persian suspicion about his real intentions. The fouled spring provides perfect cover for tactical movement. As darkness falls on the 11th night, Pausanias orders something unprecedented. that nearly destroys everything, a full tactical withdrawal under cover of darkness. 40,000 men must move 3 miles, in perfect coordination, in total silence, to new positions near fresh water sources. But moving an ancient army at night is like herding cats in a thunderstorm while blindfolded. Units lose contact in darkness. Commanders misunderstand orders shouted through the night. Some units refuse to move at all planting standards and declaring they'll never retreat from any enemy.